be held responsible or reacted to necessarily, whatever, because of every single line in a song or video or whatever that might connect to another that is not my intention. That's why it's a point of view, because there's multiple connections, as there are in the world, entanglements, everything's connected, and everything is. So it's about pulling out which connections speak to you, and that is what, makes up your point of view on things. And so I feel like that is how a playlist works also, if you think about it as a metaphor for timeline, or just, series of events, or series of thoughts, like whatever level you want to think about it on. And the data plays, because there's metadata, and then just the smaller data, so there's the grand scheme of things, the entirety of a playlist, and this is kind of like, paraboling it out. So there's the entirety of the playlist, overall like theme or point or motivation, inspiration, underlying whatever, and I feel like that's always going to change too. And within that, there are, I think, compartmentalizing points in time, or major thoughts or ideas, and then how words and visuals and things like that connect between those points in time, or those scenes, or those, major meta idea is the connections. But I feel like if you look at anything hard enough, you're going to find a connection in everything, and even the negative things, or the things that wouldn't necessarily be what the messages that you're trying to get across, as in life. And so I guess it's always about discerning, if you're trying to understand another person's perspective, instead of projecting, but discerning what connections, given the context and things that have been talked about and all of that, where they're coming from. If that's what you're trying to do, is understand another person's perspective, you look for the connections that, would be perhaps their perspective, but never assuming. You can only just sort of try to understand and pick out those connections and assume the best. And otherwise, you can easily be sort of led astray, I guess, or misguided into thinking something else when you're just seeing the negative connections, I guess, in life, in a playlist between videos. So you just have to, focus on the connections that make the most sense. Like I said, given the context or major theme and overall underlying idea. And discerning between that and then your own, and potentially everyone else's, or the person you're thinking about, or whatever, the perspective that the lens you're looking through. And because otherwise you're just probably going to start assuming the worst about things. But it's like those things, those possibilities, those connections do still exist, just as negative things, hardships in life exist. But it's almost like turning a cheek to those things, and just focusing on the connections that are positive story together in a meaningful way instead of a negative context. And so that's, I think, more so whatever I meant with reading between the lines, not necessarily double speak, even though I think that is one way to sort of train yourself to make more connections, or to see another perspective, multiple perspectives, and think on multiple levels then, and then tie connections in that. But yeah, so I think it's just about making sure we don't make assumptions either. And just like I was saying, things exist, but turning the focus on, turning the spotlight, this focus on what is meaningful, what is does bring about a good conclusion. So I think it's also speaking to like using your higher mind and but I also, acknowledging those other things, because it would just